In this video we analyse some of the property data visuals that I've built up. I've had long experience as a data scientist and I'm basically utilising this skill set to try to bring you real world insights into property data. So to let me walk you through this chart, I just have to mention it looks a little bit complicated at first, but once you understand it, it actually gives you a really interesting picture of property prices across the West Midlands in 2024. This is what is called a radial price map. Instead of using bars or a normal graph, the data is arranged in a circle, and each label around the outside represents a town or city in the West Midlands. So you'll see places like Solihull, Sutton Coldfield, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Walsall and Dudley, and so on. Each of those locations appears more than once because the chart is grouping different clusters of transactions from 2024. The important thing to note is that the size of each bubble shows the average price paid, and the colour tells you how expensive it is. Light blue means lower prices, dark blue means higher prices, and the biggest bubbles, the darkest circles, that's where the most expensive 2024 transactions happened. And if you look around the chart, two areas really stand out: Solihull and Sutton Coldfield. They have the largest, darkest bubbles, which means in 2024 they had some of the highest price paid transactions in the whole region. As you move around the circle, places like Wolverhampton, Dudley, Smethwick and West Bromwich, these noticeably have lighter colours and smaller circles. That tells you they had lower price paid averages in 2024 and often more transactions per cluster. The little numbers on the branches, things like 5, 8, 12, these denote the months in which the transactions happened. So you can see the highest and lowest prices paid on average by city, by month. So overall this chart is basically a snapshot of West Midlands property in 2024. Solihull and Sutton Coldfield were the high value hotspots. Birmingham, Coventry sat somewhere in the middle. Walsall, Dudley and Smethwick tended toward the more affordable end. It's really a visual way of seeing how the region splits into higher value and lower value pockets, all based on 2024 price paid data. This is another slightly unusual looking graph, but it actually gives a really clean picture of leasehold properties across a few major cities in the UK in 2024. What you're looking at here is a triangular Voronoi heat map, basically a map made of lots of little irregular shapes, each representing a cluster of transactions. The darker green means a higher percentage of leasehold properties, the lighter green means a lower percentage, and the cities included in this visual are Birmingham, Leeds, Sheffield, Manchester and London. So every little cell on the triangle has two things: the city name and secondly a number, which is the count of leasehold transactions in that cluster. The important part is the colour intensity. Straight away you can see the darkest greens are on the right side, that's London. These cells show much higher levels of leasehold. That makes sense, London has far more flats, new builds and apartment blocks, so leasehold is way more common. Moving towards the middle you have Sheffield and then Manchester as well. They're a mix of mid-greens, meaning they have a good number of leaseholds but not as extreme as London. Then if you look over to the left side you'll see Birmingham and Leeds. These are mostly the lighter shades of green, so they have fewer leasehold properties compared to the others. So in one simple triangular chart, this is telling us London has the highest proportion of leaseholds, Manchester and Sheffield are in the mid-range, and Birmingham and Leeds have the lowest. And that matches the reality of the UK housing stock in 2024, because the more a city relies on flats, high-rise living and modern developments, the more leasehold you'll see. It really is a visual way to compare how different regions of the UK are structured in terms of ownership types, and why landlords in some cities deal with leasehold far more than in others. This is another interesting looking graph. It again looks a bit odd, but it's actually a really clear way to see how property prices change through the year. This is a month by month heat map of price paid data from 2021 all the way through to early 2025. Down the left you've got the month of sale from January at the top all the way down to December. Across the top you've got the year of sale ranging from 2021 to 2025, and each square on the grid represents the average price paid that month, and the size of the square shows how many transactions happened. The colour is the important bit. The lighter green means lower prices, darker green means higher prices. So what does the chart actually show? The first thing you'll notice is that price moves up and down throughout the year, and it's not always predictable. For example, you look at May across the years. Some years it's in mid-range, but in 2024 May is one of the darkest squares on the whole chart. That means the highest selling average prices happened in May 2024. And then look at June 2021. It's a huge square and fairly dark, meaning lots of transactions and strong prices. Meanwhile, early months like January and February tend to be lighter and smaller, fewer transactions, lower prices. That fits what we see in the real market. Things pick up in spring and quieten down in the winter. By the time you get to 2025, you see fewer squares and smaller ones. That's because the year isn't complete yet. But even there, prices in January 2025 are fairly dark, showing stronger price paid levels compared to previous Januaries. In terms of the big picture, this chart shows that property prices aren't flat across the year. There are seasonal spikes. Late spring and early summer show higher prices and more activity. Winter months are usually quieter and cheaper. And from 2021 to 2024, you can see a general pattern. Prices gradually trended upward, hitting some of their strongest points in 2023 and 2024. It's a really good visual for understanding two things at once: how prices are paid changes throughout the year, and which months tend to be the busiest for transactions. It's perfect if you're trying to time the market or understand seasonality in housing data. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Let me know if you have any requests, and see you in the next one.